Good evening, everybody. I'm Karen Rodia, Chairman of the Finance Committee for the Stratford Board of Education. It is August 24th, 2021, and we're here at Stratford High School in the lobby lecture hall. We're going to call to order, and we do have a confirmation of the quorum. So we'll move past that and right into acceptance of the minutes from June 28th, 2021. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved by Penny. Second by Amy. Thank you. Any discussion, any changes, concerns? Okay. Seeing none, I can do just a regular vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimous. We're going to move on to number 3, discussion, information, and possible action. Budget transfers $7,500 and over. There are none. So we'll move on to the fiscal year budget summary for 2021, 2022. Ms. Mangini.
Certainly. Hopefully you can hear me.
You can unmask what you're
It's okay.
doing your thing.
We have in your packet the month of July report for the fiscal year 22. And as noted in your packets, this is early in the fiscal year, so there isn't a lot of information to share at this time. However, you will note that the payroll encumbrances are not yet reflected, and we expect those to all be in place after the first full payroll in September. And really, that's about all we have to report at the moment. Would you like me to move on to the food service report?
Yes, you can move on to the food service report. Anybody have any questions for her before we move on? Seeing none? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you've also been provided with April and May's monthly report for food service. As you may recall, we are a couple of months behind in reporting. It's just timing with when we get our invoices and update everything. You will note, however, there was, fortunately and finally, an increase in the meal counts for the month of May, and June actually looked a little bit better even though our serving days were fewer. So hopefully we're getting ourselves ready and back to where we need to be with the food service program. And we will have a complete year-end report for you in September.
Yes, Allison.
Hi, Pam.
Hi.
Are we, so through the state, it is still free lunch in all schools moving forward this year?
Correct. We're under the seamless summer option, and it's free breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
There's no school exceptions this year.
There wasn't much.
I was making sure.
Oh, no, this is the seamless summer option. Correct. So it's all schools, all students.
Will there still be like meal pickups on the weekends like they were doing, or?
They will have meal pickups at a couple of separate locations, and I'm not sure, they didn't really have the weekend one as much as sending children home on Fridays with weekend meals. So I think that will continue, but we are working through those logistical issues with Sodexo over the next week or two.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do. Pam, this, the April 2021 financial breakout for the lunch program, that does not reflect the transfers that we had approved to cover food services, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that'll show up in September maybe?
It should. We are undergoing the audit that the board was aware that we were going to make certain that we had one final look at all of it. We had a meeting with the auditor as well as Dawn Sabo from the finance department just to make sure we were all on the same page. So I'm hoping by September.
Okay.
Grant report, Mr. Clemming.
Good evening. Well, it's a short grant report this time. It's the start of the year. So the grant report is physically shorter on the page that you received. I've removed anything where the funding has expired, so all the grants listed are still current active grants. And thanks largely to the COVID-related funds, We're starting at 9.3 million in grants this year before the first one ever comes from the state, and that's more than we ended with at the end of my first year here. So we're ahead of the game in that sense. All the funds that were expired by June 30th were spent out. Right now, most of our effort is actually looking at last year because we're working on the expenditure reports for the state. Those are nearly complete. As an update, ARP ESSER was submitted on August 13th. We have not heard anything back from our reviewer at the state yet, but it did go in, and it went in as you reviewed it. No significant changes other than changing it to the state format. And other than that, we're waiting for the grant cycle to begin. There is one out there that we're working on. The Family Resource Center grant is what funds Stratford Parents Place primarily, and that is due August 31st, and we have a completed first draft that's being reviewed.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Clemming? Any?
I'm just going to take this off because I don't know, I have difficult hearing people with masks, so just your title programs that you've listed, that is the carryover. So actually, last year was the first year of the grant?
Correct.
And this is the second year of the grant, so that's why it's labeled carryover?
Correct.
Just a point of information.
So yeah, what's on here listed right now is all carryover. So it was the fiscal year 21 grant. We've been through the first year of that. We still have fiscal year 22 to spend it, and we will get a new fiscal year 22 grant. The title grants tend to scatter out during the fall. They'll probably all be in applications turned in by November or December.
I also see that you've listed the non-public school remaining funds, but in this report it doesn't show what the non-public schools received from the grant originally. Is this their carryover, the 40,000, let's say, for that Title I?
That's correct. That 40,000 is what they carried over from their Title I funds.
Okay, just wanted to make it clear to everyone and to myself. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Ms. Borges.
Hi, everybody. It's early in the year, just like everyone else, so everything is tracking on budget for us right now. We're currently at 112 students outplaced, and as you guys know, we had 11 move in last year. We've had 2 additional outplacements move in this summer, and we are going to continue to track that very closely. The only concern I have, and Pam and I are working on it and continuing to be aware, is we have a lot of new registrations. And oftentimes parents forget to check the box of whether or not their child has an IEP or not. So there are over 500 current new registrations that haven't checked yes or no. So with those, it's going to be timing for us to figure out if they have an IEP and what kind of needs they have. And if they do, you know, that could impact what we do. But currently we're tracking where we should be.
Does anybody have any questions for Heather?
Karen?
Yes. Ben.
Hi, Heather, it's Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Quick question. Have you done any, for lack of a better term, analysis or what the coming school year may look like in regards to changes in special ed from when we adopted the budget, taking into account where some kids may be, vis-a-vis maybe having been out of school for an extended period of time, or remote learning, or attempting to remote learn?
Yes, Ben, so I started the analysis already. We have completed a spreadsheet based on our students that received resource. We have our high-cost students with out-of-district placements and higher services on another one, and so the one that's not complete yet is our current programs. And the reason the programs are not complete yet is because we still have a lot of kids in registration we need to finish that'll be joining those programs. But yes, to answer your question, I think I heard it correctly. Karen, this was a little quiet from over here.
Does that answer your question, Ben?
Yeah, I just, because I think we all agree that we're going to see some children who may need additional services beyond what we may have considered back in April when we were doing this.
Absolutely. And Ben, I don't know if you're aware, but Kevin and I will be working with the state on the additional special education funding. Those grant dollars and applications are due between now and October, once we get some guidance. So those will also be there to support, and yes, so we have done the analysis. It could change when those new registrations come in.
Okay. Any other questions for Heather? Okay. Enrollment report, Dr. Asande.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So enrollment is ongoing, as Ms. Borges just mentioned, and we're in the process right now of synthesizing that data. We've had the opportunity to check through the summer, and as recently as 2 weeks ago, our numbers are approximately 748, I believe that number is. Currently, Susan Hughes is synthesizing that information and the data for me and disaggregating it in ways that we can hopefully analyze and find specific bumps, but we do anticipate a small uptick in enrollment.
Anybody have any questions about enrollment? Allison?
This is my question. Just the first thing that came to mind is when we talk uptake, are we looking across all grade levels, or we're just not sure yet where that uptake is going to be, we just know it's up?
And that's the specific data we're trying to gather. We should have that shortly. Typically, we don't see a heavy amount of movement at the high school level. Typically, junior and seniors, you don't see too much movement. But we do anticipate at the elementary level to see a bump, and at the middle school level as well.
And kindergarten registration, is the number on track with what we anticipated?
I'm going to tag this in
No, actually, as of today, we are taking a closer look at it, and it's up there significantly. What happens on occasion is that families start the registration process assuming either they're going to move or they're going to actually register their child. Oftentimes, there's a percentage of those that never complete the process for whatever reason. So we're trying to get a handle on that. Actually, as Dr. Sunday noted, Susan Hughes has been very instrumental, and she and I are spending the morning together tomorrow to review all of this. We are a little concerned right now with what we're seeing for kindergarten. Based on those numbers, we will be still within the board's recommended max of 20 for those classrooms, but we're watching it carefully. So I will discuss it further with the superintendent. If there's any issues, and we'll certainly keep the board aware.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So Pam, you said there's a start increase. Is that an increase over last year, or what we typically see? Is that?
Quite frankly, we are trying to get a better handle on that data because last year wasn't a best comparison either. But I think at this point, it appears that it is higher than a normal year.
Got it. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. I would like to request that as the data comes in after, like maybe the second week of school, if you could send us an update and let us know how we stand with the enrollment. I appreciate it. Okay. The ARP ESSER spending plan. Anybody have any questions about the spending plan at the moment, or are you still reviewing it?
I did have a question, Karen, if that's okay.
Amy, go ahead.
Pam, last year, do you happen to have the account balance of what we spent in PPE and cleaning? That was the only line item that really caught my attention. Will $230,000 from this grant be sufficient to cover, seeing as how we are in person?
I think what you have to bear in mind is that we have funding in ESSER 1, CRF, and ESSER 2.
Okay, so this is just an addition?
Yeah, and at this point, quite honestly, we were a bit conservative with that and actually added to it because back in maybe June, we didn't think we were going to need much PPE. So we did increase it, and we'll monitor it. We do have the ability to do revisions throughout the 3-year term, so if we find it's necessary to maybe take money from another area, we will, but I think it's going to be adequate, because I don't really believe, when you think about masks, we really have a good supply of hand sanitizer and disposable masks. I don't think there's a whole lot we're going to need right away, and I'm still going to be that glass half full and think maybe in the next 3 or 4 months things will get better.
I like that as well. Thank you.
Any other business? Old or new? No? Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Janice, and then Amy second, is that okay? That's it? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.